Hello, this is Taha.
This is Anaina.
This is Movie Masala.
And we're here to yap at you about films we watched recently.
And today we're doing Sinners by Ryan Coogler.
There are legends of people with the gift of making music so true. It can conjure spirits from the past and the future. This gift can bring fame and fortune.
If anyone can see Taha right now, they are very aggressively grabbing at the air in front of them and noiselessly screaming.
I need you to make sure I do not go off on countless tangents and I am able to give a succinct enough review of this film. I watched this like today morning, right? I was trying to watch it for 2 days. Something came up. Finally got it to watch it this morning. I came out being like, I think I watched one of the best films I have ever watched. I mean it. And again, maybe I need more time to sit on this, but there is a specific scene I will come to where I was like, oh my God, this is perhaps one of my favorite scenes I have ever watched in any movie. And I have watched a lot of movies, okay? I have watched enough that even though my opinion might not count for the most, it should count for at least something, right? Okay, I'm going to start from the top, right? Movies are fucking back. This is so good. Film basically stars, I would say, 3 people, right? You have Michael B. Jordan, who plays a dual role with Smoke and Stack, these 2 brothers. And then you have Sammy, who is this child of a pastor who is Smoke and Stack's cousin, basically. And Smoke and Stack are back in town from Chicago. There are rumors that they were working for Al Capone, and they now they bought this land and they want to make a juke joint for like Black people in the community. This film, I'm not sure when it's set. It doesn't give you an exact time period. You can see very early cars and stuff. So I am guessing around 1920s, maybe 30s time period, right?
Oh.
And basically, again, they're starting up this juke joint. They're like gathering people from their past. You can do this. I'm going to give you this money to do this. And that is what the first half of this film is. But the thing is, it's just the first half is just set up. The first half is literally just set up for what the second half is going to be. And I'm going to tell you about that. But even in the first half, 20 minutes in, I was like, oh, this film is so energetic and fun. It's not necessarily doing anything right now. You're just kind of going with the plot, but the writing is fun and it's dynamic and it's still like there's action beats to it and the music is good. And you are kind of just swept up in that narrative. But props to Ryan Coogler. He knows that the first half, even in a film which is this good, which is doing a lot in the second half, he still is very conscious of like human attention. And I don't mean this in a way of like he's continuously like doing jump cuts or anything like that. But I mean, he does his setup in the first setup as Sammy comes in with like scars on his cheeks into the church. Like that's the opening scene of the film. And his dad, the pastor, and you don't know he's the pastor, but his dad that then is kind of like shaking him and it's just giving you these flashes of like this horrifying thing. You're not sure what's happening. And that immediately hooks you. That's like, pun intended, sinks its teeth into you, right? And then when we go back, you have that thing in your head. You know something bad is going to happen because you've seen these flashes. So again, I'm going to go faster because otherwise this is going to take me so much time. So they set up this juke joint. You have these old flames come up. You have this whole history of the brothers come up. Everything is entering it. And this joint is just for like people of color and mostly Black people, but there's like 2 Asian people there as well. Again, it's based on the era. You understand what the politics are. It's not shying away from anything. It's being in your face very much about it, right? And I think then it switches. It has this switch. And this comes specifically after the scene where Sammy plays his guitar in this barn where they've made the juke joint. And I saw that scene and I was like, oh, this is perhaps one of the best scenes in cinema history I have ever seen. I really want people to watch this. Again, I held up on spoilers, but I really want to describe the scene just so I can see your reaction and just...
The likelihood of me watching this film is high because of how much praise you have for it, but low because of it being a horror film. So, like, I'm... Spoiler alert, but go ahead, Taha.
Yes, spoiler alert. And listen, even if you hear me describe the scene, it's not going to do it justice. There's no way a person like me can ever do justice to what I watched. which he plays this scene, and the film opens up with this idea of like there are people who can play music so good that they kind of connect with the dead and connect through like their generations. And in that second, the voiceover comes and it also tells about like generations past and future. And in this scene, in this barn, you see Sammy playing, and it's that blues music coming through, and then in like more ancestral African music coming through, and then future hip hop coming through, and all of these dances existing simultaneously. And it is telling such an incredible collective narrative of music and Black history and how it flows from generation to generation. And this camera doesn't cut, but is just roaming around this barn and exploring this music. My breath was held, my jaw was on the floor, my hand was to my heart, and I was like, this is absolutely incredible. This is absolutely incredible. I was sold on that film. I was like, the film could end here, and it earned my praise, everything like that. And then it does keep going. And then when it fully becomes much more of a horror film. So very basically, this is a vampire movie. This is a movie about vampires.
That is not what I was expecting. But okay.
This is a vampire movie. But the vampires are a very complicated metaphor, but a metaphor that's not hard to understand. It's just more nuanced than intolerance or hate. So you have initially this one vampire who you're introduced to as you see these Native Americans kind of hunting for him. And he seeks shelter in these two people's houses who are Klansmen. The clan is brought up, Ku Klux Klan, for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, in the film, in past moments of dialogue as well. It's very much active, and they're Klansmen, so he is able to just like be racist about the Native Americans and get into their house. And he's a vampire, so he basically converts both of the husband and wife there as well. And then these three people come to the juke joint and like, can you let us in? We just want to play some music. We just want to have a good time and everything. And both the brothers are smarter than that to just let them in. And something is a bit off. You know why. They don't know why. But for them, it also makes sense. I'm not going to let three white people here just because of the racial politics that exists and how badly things could go. And here, Ryan Coogler does such an incredible thing with music, right? Where he is showing appropriation of Black art and how they are using music and also dialogue of like, we just want to help all people. We just want kindness and empathy for everyone. This is good people. We're here for everyone. Everyone deserves equality. That rhetoric is so charged, yet so brilliantly used.
I mean, it takes me back to the other episode we've gone this week about like the film that I saw, where it was like, one side is always like, no, but we want everyone to live safely, where everyone can get to be whatever religion and faith they want to be, and we'll be like harmonious. It's the other side that's like so like religious and like, you know, they're the ones who are causing all this division and problems. It reminds me exactly of that, which, you know, just goes to show how it's such an age-old rhetoric for everything from religion to ethnicity to race to gender to sexuality. So like, yeah.
And the people are also like playing country music, which again has a lot of appropriation from Black and blues and music as well. So it's so conscious of its history, and every decision this film is making is so conscious and so like enveloping of the themes of the film, right? And they don't let them in. And then Haley Steinfeld's character, who is initially like, she has Black heritage, like very far down, but like the Black people call her family. And then she goes later out to talk to these people and basically gets turned, right? And then she comes in, and then the film kind of keeps on going and it gets worse and worse and worse. And again, there are Black people who are being turned into vampires, and they have a very similar line of dialogue as well. It's using this metaphor so brilliantly. Like, I, in a million years, would never have been able to derive that narrative of like sinister, like this inception of hate, the inception of prejudice and control that disguises itself as kindness and compassion, that disguises itself as equality, and how it inseminates into every community, not necessarily the oppressors, but also the oppressed.
Oh my god, Ryan Coogler is a genius. He Frantz Fanoned this film. For anyone who knows of Frantz Fanon, his theories of like on violence, on colonialism from like multiple of his books, including like Black Skin, White Masks, etc., etc., etc. They talk about the exact same thing. So Ryan Coogler, you genius man who invoked the genius man Frantz Fanon himself. This, for like anyone who studied literature, this is immediately going.
Yes, just everything works. And then when you clearly see the vampires at the top of their might, they have this huge like Irish songs. Again, this is my reading into it, but I feel it's again connecting this idea of like interracial tensions in some manners as well, or not necessarily, but still how between two oppressed groups there can be still structures of power, because this is at that point when the vampires have recruited a lot of the black people around the town within, have just basically turned them in, right? And it just builds on so many of those things. And as the film ends and it has this conclusion, I'm not going to spoil every single thing, right? You can still feel how it's kind of doesn't want to let go in a weird way, in not of as like dragging on, but the film is genuinely just trying to clutch onto any positiveness in a sense, or like trying to clutch onto any memories of like before this happened, of pre-trauma basically. And at the very end, right, you have one of our main characters revisited at the very end. And again, Ryan Coogler connects back to this idea. And I think this is more, it connects back to the present. Like I said, peer dramas aren't about the past, they're about the present, right? And it connects back to, I feel, the sense of there was something before a division like this formed. There is still something that connects us all. Ryan Coogler specifically looks to music and art, I would argue, in a more broader context, and how that connects people. But it is this idea of as well, like, hatred exists, and that's not going anywhere. A lot of this, but that doesn't mean also that there isn't some connective tissue which is just intrinsically there. And he does this to the two vampires who were still more human in some way, or like had that connection before they got turned. And again, any part of this film, I could stop and go on and on and on about, and the symbolism, the metaphor and everything. Like, I could stop and just keep going. It's just so good. It's just genuinely so good. Every single scene just adds to the film. And my biggest point is, like, for a film with so much symbolism, it never feels boring. It never feels that. It is as much of an action thriller horror film as any other.
I think that's a lot to do with Ryan Coogler. He's done loads of other films, but his most popular one is obviously Black Panther. And
yes.
We know how that goes. We know how much of an entertainer that film is. And also, like, how much he uses music in that film as well to tell a certain kind of story and to create a certain kind of world and atmosphere and stuff. So I definitely see his, like, influences and, like, his little Midas touch on loads of films.
Honestly. And also just definite shout out to Ludwig Göransson, who's the composer for this film, because the music
also won the Oscar for Black Panther. Sorry. Oh my God. I knew intrinsically in my soul, I knew it was going to be Ludwig Göransson. I'm so glad it is, because that guy is a genius.
Yes. Again, the music is so amazing in this film. The music is like such an intrinsic, it is a music film as well, and intrinsically woven into the fabric of this film. It also plays with, there's like, again, I could just keep talking about how it plays with aspect ratios. The idea, like, there's the mythicalness as well with the vampires and voodoo and all of these things that it's talking about. Every single component fits into this grander picture of what Ryan Coogler is portraying. And it is a masterpiece. As the movie ended, the credits finished. There's a post-credit scene that finished. Lights came up, everything. You could sit me down again and I would rewatch this happily again right now. It is that good. It is that good.
Yeah, sounds great. I'm probably going to watch it this week, depending on how I'm feeling. But because, I've been very vocal about my relationship with horror films. But, you've spoken about it so much that I feel I have to watch it.
Please. It makes it worth it. I promise you, it makes it worth it. And also, I'm just happy this film is doing well. It's going to open at the top of the domestic box office. It's on a budget of around 90 to 100. It's already done like 60. People are going to watch it. People are watching it. And I hope, and I'm feeling it's a great film. Word of mouth is going to spread. And it's just going to do also really well in its second week as well. oh my God, like I want to see this film next year at the Oscars, man, because I just cannot imagine watching another film better than this throughout the whole year, very honestly.
Great.
So those are our thoughts. Thank you for tuning in. This podcast is produced solely by us, musical assets from Pixabay. See you again next time.
Bye-bye.